Give me a couple more books.
Books?
No.
There's some right here.
Was it good? Was it good? He is so. Yeah.
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Well, welcome to A Course in Miracles. Let's give ourselves an acknowledgement if you don't mind. Yes. Those of you online that are watching on Facebook Live, I'm Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to A Course in Terrified People for an hour. Freaking them out. A Course in Miracles, A Course in Right Perception. And what we're supposed to be doing is teaching only love, because that's what we are. So let's just take a breath. And let's get a little jazzy here. Yeah, welcome to the Course of Love. Want to welcome you to the Course of Love, Course of Miracles, which is a course of love. We're going to be talking about what can sound like religious terminology, but it's actually talking about universal spiritual themes, and it's called Awaken to Redemption, which is the section in the course that's talking about waking to love, waking to freedom, waking to peace. Do you want to wake to love? Do you want to wake up to some peace? Do you want to become aware of all the love that's in your life that you may be missing because you're looking at things from a wrong perception? Would you like another way of looking at things today? I need some help. Would you like to listen to another way? Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. You got to recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. I want me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Teach only love. Say what? That's what you really are. Teach only love. Teach only love, because love is what you are. Love is what you are. Not a son of a bitch. We got to remember that some of that stuff we've heard may not necessarily be the truth. Remember, you don't have to believe this if you're here for the first time, especially. Most of us don't. You don't have to accept this. You don't have to welcome this. Some of this is going to be hard to believe and quite startling. You might say, I don't believe that. That's startling. Teach only love. To teach is to demonstrate. Demonstrate only love. So even if you don't really get it, we can at least be glad to be here with each other, right? Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. You can't solve a problem that you don't recognize. Let me recognize the problem. Say what? So the problem can be solved. Now you know that people having a good time together can seem kind of strange. Actually enjoying each other can seem kind of strange, especially if you're in a place for the first time. And so I want you to know that seeing happy people is actually the way it's supposed to be. That's actually normal. So you don't have to believe it, accept it, or welcome it. Some of it you're going to find hard to believe and quite startling. But if you use the ideas, Ashley, you'll recognize that the ideas are true. If we use it, say what? We got to recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Let me recognize the problem. Say what? So the problem can be solved. Oh yeah. Hold on to the line. Love is what you are. Shoot the line, shoot the line. Love is what you are. Yeah, not fear, but love is what you are. We're going to be talking about waking to love. Let me recognize the problem so the problem say what? You only love. That's what you are. You're nothing but love. And if you see yourself any other way, is that a misperception?
Yes.
That's a mis. So have you had any misperceptions of yourself lately? Have you seen yourself as other than love lately? Okay, what's the payoff? What's the payoff? Because however you're seeing yourself, whatever way of looking at things that you're sticking to, even if there are alternative ways to look at it, that simply means that there must be, according to the Course in Miracles, that you're getting some kind of payoff out of it. So you need to ask yourself, what is the payoff to your pain? What is the payoff to your upset? What's the payoff to whatever you're doing to yourself right now? And so when I went through that about you don't have to believe the ideas, accept the ideas, and welcome the ideas, this is how the Course in Miracles said it should be studied. Because you won't let yourself hear it if you think you have to believe it as soon as you hear it. Then it'll look like somebody's just trying to control your mind. Okay? And nobody really wants your mind. You don't even want your mind. You're trying to give yourself a different way of looking at things. So I'm going to tell you again, it's not about agreeing with what you hear. I'm not trying to convert anybody. What I'm doing is sharing a message. And you use that message any way you want to. Is that fair enough? Yeah. So I always ask Spirit what I should talk about. Because Spirit knows who's coming, I don't. And so I have a random number generator. I use a very scientific method of choosing what I'm going to talk about. If you read this book over 100 times like I have, I'm pretty familiar with it, so it doesn't really matter what section Spirit reveals to me to cover. But I know it has a special message for whoever is here today. Those of you online, I want to welcome you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. Got a lot of cool people online this morning. So we're going to be on page 207 if you got the book, in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course in Miracles. If there's anybody on either side of you that you don't know, would you please greet whoever's right around you that may be new to you right now? Just say hello. Those of you online, let's say hello to each other. Let's give each other some love. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. All right. Now, right now, you're having a wonderful experience with all of these people, and you feel really connected in a loving way, so don't give anybody your phone number. Let's keep the love here. Right now, they think beautifully of you. Don't do nothing to change their minds. Just wave at everybody as they leave out the room, and the love will still be there. Isn't that right? Because I won't know your ego, and you won't know mine. Awaken, the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. So even if it's using Christian terminology, it's just talking about love or fear. So I'm going to give you some of the Course in Miracles definitions for some of the terms that it uses. It also says a miracle is a correct perception. It's a right perception. It's a true perception, right? So the Course is saying it's a miracle if we have a true perception.
Where are you on the page?
Yeah, I'm at Awaken to Redemption, page 207, chapter 11. 207, chapter 11, God of the Ego, Awaken to Redemption, section 6. So I'm going to go through the paragraph, and before I go through to the next paragraph, I'm going to see if we get the meaning of the first paragraph. Okay? Bring it. Okay. First line, it's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible not to believe what you see. Like right now, you're seeing me, so it's impossible not to believe that you're seeing me. It looks like you're seeing me. It's impossible not to believe what you see. But it's equally impossible to see what you don't believe. It's impossible for you to see something you don't believe. So if you don't believe you deserve love, if you don't believe you deserve happiness, if you don't believe you deserve fun, if you don't believe you deserve abundance, if you don't believe you deserve peace, you won't see it. So it's not that it's not there. I just won't see it. If I don't believe it, I won't see it. And if I see it, I am believing it. So anything you're seeing, according to the Course in Miracles, you believe it. Even if you think you're seeing something that you think you don't believe. But you couldn't see it unless you believed it, according to the Course. Why? Because perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and it's your experience that leads to beliefs. So what you see is based on your experience. How you're seeing me right now is based on your experience and what you learned in the past. So when you look at me, you're looking at all of your experiences with men. You're looking at all your experiences with men who are of color. Every experience you've learned, everything that you've experienced, everything you've been taught, that's what you're seeing when you look up here at me. And like I've said many times, if you don't see something handsome and juicy, you misperceive it. Okay?
It's my fault.
It's like it's your issue, it's your issue, it's your issue. It's not my issue, it's your issue. And the Course in Miracles truly says that. It says if we were seeing each other correctly, we could scarcely refrain from falling on our knees in gratitude and crying at the beauty that we would be looking at. You know what I'm saying? Your partner come home and eat and they just fall down on the floor crying because you look so good. That'd be a trip, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I love that.
Get yourself together. Get yourself Toughen up, toughen up, toughen up. I'm telling you. That's right. Go get him some water. What's wrong with you? But you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with people looking at you and seeing you so that you're so beautiful that it brings tears to their eyes. I have had that experience. I've had experiences of looking into the eyes of someone and what I was seeing was so beautiful that brought tears to my eyes. And that's a beautiful experience. Because I used to have people that I looked at that brought tears to my eyes for different reasons. So I'm glad I'm getting tears, the good tears, right? So it's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible for you not to see what you believe. It's impossible to see what you don't believe. And it's also impossible not to believe what you see. And your perceptions, what you see, is built up of your experiences, which means your experiences lead to your beliefs. If you have an experience, you really believe it. See, if you have an experience of a loving relationship, you really believe you can have one.
That's right.
If you have an experience of a relationship that's full of pain, you'll believe you really can have one. So who could be the means for you to have a loving relationship you wouldn't see, and someone who would be the means for another unhappy relationship, that's who you would see, because based on your experience, that's what you're looking for. So then you call it your pattern. Now, hold your questions. I'm gonna give you a minute. I want you to let this get in first, okay? Because what you really want to do is remember as much as you can what we're being told. Because really that's good news. If I see what I believe, I just need to change my beliefs. Changing my beliefs, that's totally within my power. I have experiences that have given me certain beliefs, but that doesn't mean that those beliefs are true. Just because I've had the experience of someone that I perceive as mistreating me does not mean that everybody's going to mistreat me. Right? And then the Course in Miracles says, it's not until your beliefs are fixed that your perception stabilize. So it's not until I have a fixed belief in something that I see it all the time. So when I have a fixed belief in love, I'll see love all the time. If I have a fixed belief in fear or upset, that's all I see around me all the time. So some people you talk to, I don't care how often you talk to them, every time you talk to them, they got a list of things they're upset about. One thing after another that's not going the way they think that they want it to go. One thing after another that they're complaining about. Their negative beliefs have stabilized. So they just see things consistently in a way that's fearful or upset. Because of the experiences they've had, so much of that now their belief is fixed. Okay? Some of us have fixed beliefs that are stabilized about our president.
I do.
Right.
Thank you for the confession.
Few other people got some stabilized Trump beliefs. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm glad this is a course on forgiveness. I can tell it's time for a little forgiveness in the house. I was in San Francisco last week at a Course in Miracles conference with several hundred Course in Miracles students. And it feels good to be around people who are helping stabilize each other's beliefs in love together. Helping stabilize each other's beliefs in innocence together. Being in San Francisco wasn't as bad either. The sacrifices I make to be a teacher of the Course. But somebody's got to do it. I'll go to Fisherman's Wall for all of y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because I've given myself the experience of being around so many cool people for so many years, because I've been doing this almost 40 years, that my perception of my world has stabilized 90% of the time or more, where I'm only giving and receiving love, and even total strangers only give me really cool vibes and love, because I've been giving myself experiences of love. Okay, so I know, but I also know what it's like when you don't. Because that's what got me on the path in the first place. So I can totally relate to the other way of looking at things, but I'm not going to see you as a victim, because I don't care what you went through in the past. Today, right now, you can use another way of looking at things. So it's no excuse to tell me about your childhood, which is a distorted memory anyway. That nothing really happened the way you thought it happened as a child. It's amazing when I talk to my relatives and we talk about things that I went through when I was a child, or situations, and they'll tell me what was really going on, and it would be so different from what I thought was going on at that time. It would be ridiculous. There would be no connection between what was really happening and what I thought was happening. That's the truth of any unhappy person. So the Course in Miracles then says, so when do your perceptions stabilize? When your beliefs become fixed. How do you get your beliefs to be fixed? Through repetition. Like one of the most wonderful comments I get from people who watch my classes and Facebook Lives, they say, I love the way you repeat things over and over and over. Some people hate repetition, and then some people love repetition. Well, who is the right people for me? Well, the people that love repetition. So I'm not going to stop repeating. They just need to find somebody that doesn't. But people are funny like that. If they don't like something, they'll expect you to change to conform to their desires, rather than why don't you just go somewhere else?
That would be easier.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Then I'll be happy and you'll be happy.
Yes.
Right? We both have a win-win, right? I'm not in the presence of somebody that doesn't like it the way I do it, and then they get a chance to be in the presence of someone who's doing it the way they like. But that's not the way peaceful minds operate. Peaceful minds in conflict don't operate that way. Minds in conflict operate from the premise of, if this were different, I'd be happy. If you were different, I'd be happy. If you changed, I'd be happy. So people who are determined to be miserable always wait for everybody else to change. I was looking at a talk the other day, and it was this guy said, women in a relationship, women believe that they. I didn't say this. This is what he said. I do not want y'all come going off on me. I don't think. I'm just repeating something, but it's been a large part of my experience in the past. So unconsciously or consciously, women believe they can change the man when they're not conscious, and what men are counting on is the woman not changing. We count on the woman not changing. That the way you are, we can depend on you being that way to the day you die. Right? So the minute you that's why sometimes women go through so many challenges in their relationships when they come to classes and personal growth things, and they start changing their mind. They want to change the way they relate to their partner, and their partner freaks out because he was counting on her staying exactly the same the way he could count on. And so he tends not to get very excited about what she's learning, except it's what that black dude teaching you gonna bring you closer to me or take you further away. That's all I want to know. Is the brother moving you toward me or away from me? Other than that, I don't care what you think. Okay. And then, therein lies the problem, you right? And then unconsciously or consciously, sometimes the female will believe, I just need to twerk him a little bit. Just tweak him a little bit. Now, twerking him will work. Okay. Now, you'd be amazed what twerking him will do. But tweaking him is going to make you unhappy. He's 90% just what I want. I could just get that other 10%. Everything will be good, right? So a conscious being has completely let go of either one of those. A conscious being knows they can absolutely count on things changing. There's no such thing as in this world things not changing. And a conscious being, they want to generate their happiness from within themselves and not make their happiness dependent on anybody else, because then you can have it all the time. If I make it dependent on you, then I might not have it today. But if I make it dependent on me, I can have it today. So a conscious being is not going through life expecting everybody else to be different in order for them to be happy. All right, I'm not going to wait till the president changes for me to be happy. You see what I mean? You know, I can be happy. That makes me more patient, actually. You know, I can be a lot more patient when I'm having a good time.
That's right.
You can like if somebody's upset with me and they don't speak to me and I know I didn't do anything to cause that, it was being created from within themselves. And then I know at some point they'll realize that and we'll go through a forgiveness, right? So while I'm waiting for them to forgive, which is to have their perception corrected, I can party like a big dog.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to be suffering in the meantime while you're going through your grievance. And when you decide to be happy again and change your mind and you're sane again, I'll meet you where you are. But in the meantime, I'm not going to wait around moaning because you're upset with me. I'm going to fill that void up with as much joy as I can possibly come up with. Okay, I would advise you to do the same. You know, because you can count on it. When a person finally has corrected perception, they will take responsibility for the experience they had with you. And so therefore they will feel a grievance toward you. Because they'll know that the way they feel had nothing to do with you. The way that they feel is being created what they're telling themselves. That's where all of your feelings are coming from. They're just coming from what you're telling yourself right now. Okay. So that goes back to this statement that says, until your beliefs are fixed, your perceptions don't stabilize. So in effect, what you believe, you do see. That's what I meant when I said, blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. See, if I can believe in the good in you, even when I don't see it, I'm blessed. If I can believe in your ability to be a beautiful person, even if you're not seeing it in yourself or expressing it in yourself, I'm blessed, because I can make myself feel good about stuff I see, and I can make myself feel good about stuff I don't see. So the Course in Miracles then says, for those who believe in the resurrection, which is the reawakening, the love, don't forget the definitions, will see it. So if I believe that I'm going to wake up, I'm going to see it. If I believe in love, I'll see it. If I believe in kindness and peace, I'll see it. And the Course in Miracles says the resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, which is another way of saying the awakening is the complete victory of love over fear. So when you wake up, love is ruling you instead of fear. When you wake up, being joined is ruling us instead of looking at each other as separate. That's the resurrection. And I've had a few of those.
I think he's having one now.
Don't get me started. I'm tired of it. Okay, don't get me started. Okay. So the resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, which is the same as saying the resurrection is the complete triumph of your loving self over your fearful self. And it's also saying, how does that happen? Not by attack, but by transcendence. So I'm going to transcend my fear by being willing to look at it, not judge it, and let myself feel it so that it'll move on through me.
That's right.
Can you say that one more time?
I'm going to transcend my fear by not being in denial about it, looking at it, feeling it, not judging it, and then choosing to go beyond it. It's like I'm at a party and I'm feeling bashful, okay, and I don't know anybody. I could transcend my fear by acknowledging I feel afraid and still walking up to Cheryl and say, "Hello, I'm Earl. What's your name?" See, that's me transcending my fear. I didn't let it stop me. I went beyond it, but I didn't pretend I wasn't feeling it. Right? So transcendence is not denial.
Right.
Okay, transcending is I'm admitting it's there, and then I'm not going to let it rule me. There's a lot of beautiful people in this room. So you can't walk around. There's no excuse now for walking around and saying there are not other people who are as weird as I am. That there are not other people that are trying to look at things differently. That there are not other people who do want to become more loving and more conscious. You can't, after today, you have an experience. So now you could have more of the belief that there are those of a like mind that are around you. Because you had the experience of this. This isn't theoretical. I'm here, you're here, and other people are here. But the part of us that doesn't want us to be happy, that doesn't think we deserve happiness, that part of us will not seek out the people who would help stabilize our loving beliefs. That part of us is going to seek out the people that help stabilize our fearful, upset, insecure beliefs. Depending on which part of me is ruling me. If my fear-based self is ruling me, I'm going to always be attracted to the people who disappoint me. I can count on it. So just if you're a person who has a horrible pattern in relationships, then you should stop trusting your attractions. I do not understand why people who have horrible relationships always trust their attractions. The very next time they attracted somebody, they still, oh, this must be the one. Have you really paid attention
To your choices?
Yeah, if you really paid attention to your choices, this is probably not the right one. Probably the right one is going to be the one that there wasn't this big flaming volcano eruption explosion, but your relationship just kind of developed over time, probably just started as a friendship, and there wasn't a whole lot of passion between you. That's probably the one that would be the best one. You know.
Boring.
Now you understand why your relationships are hell.
Now we know.
Because you see them boring.
Because you see a peaceful relationship is boring. That's a request from the universe to give you one that's full of drama, and then you wonder where it came from. Because you equated peace with boredom, and peace isn't boring.
No.
There's nothing boring about the Course in Miracles defines peace as total fulfillment. I love that definition of peace. They didn't contemplate my navel in a mountain on a mountainside. It's me feeling total fulfillment.
Yeah.
Complete fulfillment. I'm in a relationship and I feel fulfilled. I'm on a job and I feel fulfilled. I live in a house, I feel fulfilled. There's nothing missing. You know, I'm not leaving Denver to move somewhere else because I hate Denver. I'm going and I'm not moving. I saw that look. I saw joy in some people's faces. I saw distress in other people's faces. I found out a lot in that moment. Now I know where I stand. You know. So I don't know what I was getting ready to say. Okay, now let's go to the next thing. See, if I'm not playing on what I'm going to say, what I'm saying is coming through me. I had one of the most unusual experiences teaching I've ever had when I was at the conference last week. I had a 4 o'clock talk. I went up to the podium. I had what I was going to say semi-planned, because I try not to plan too much. And I looked down, it was 4 o'clock. I got ready to do my talk. And the next time I looked at my watch, it was 5:15. It was the end of my talk. And the people in front of me was basically sitting with their mouth open, saying that things came out of me that was unbelievable. And they kept saying that to me every time they passed by me in the hall, like, that what you said today was awesome. So I felt a swoosh, but I had never done a direct channeling before. So that was interesting to feel the Holy Spirit, the higher power, just used my body and just threw me aside. Just used me. God just used me, y'all. But I did get a hell of a dinner after dinner. I'll tell you that. That was cool. So the last sentence says, for Christ, the loving self does rise above the ego, the fearful part of yourself, and all its works, and ascends to the Creator and to the kingdom, which is reality, which is love, which is joy. So your real self rises above your fear and all of the works of your fear, and ascends to that which created you and its reality, which is love. So there's only love or fear. So what did that first paragraph say? It's impossible for me not to believe what I see. It's equally impossible to see what I don't believe. Then we were told that the way you see things are built up based on your experiences. And that if you keep having the experience over and over again, your beliefs are going to be fixed, your perceptions are going to be fixed, and you're going to see the same thing all the time. Then it says, well, then you got to start believing in what you don't see. So first, to make the change, I need to believe in love I don't see, abundance I don't see, kindness I don't see, relationships I don't see. I have to start believing in what I don't see so that I can start to see it. Okay? So if you want to move to a state of abundance, you don't compare your present state with the state that you want to be in. You just go, my present situation is a result of experiences and beliefs that I've had. Now I'm ready to give myself a whole new experience. So I'm not going to compare what I could have to what I have had. Yeah. You follow me? Okay. All right. So the next thing that it says is that the resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, not by attack, but by transcendence. So love is going to rise above the fear, and love is going to connect you to source. So you can tell what you want to perceive by who and what situations you're investing in. That's how you know what you want to experience. It's about what you're investing in. So for instance, when you said that about, peace was boring, well, that has to come from your experience of what you define peace as. And so now I have this fixed belief that peace would be boring. So it would be boring for me because that's what I believe. And then I believe I was right because my experience proved it to me. And so you just keep that circle going. So at some point I have to tell myself peace isn't boring, even though I have been seeing peace as boring. And then I will begin to open myself up to peace being something else. But it's not until I'm willing to open my mind up to it. Okay, so any questions or comments about that first paragraph? Because I'm much more interested in us understanding what the Course is saying than using the class as a therapy session. Okay, so, all right.
Yeah, so in other words, we have to be present in the moment to notice our feelings, and if they're not the way we want them to be, then we have the chance to go ahead and change our mind and to see things in a different viewpoint.
Absolutely. That is our power. The Course in Miracles says the last power we have is the power of decision. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm whatever it is that I'm seeing in my reality or in my perception, then it's just a feedback loop to what it is that I'm believing to be true.
Yeah, right.
So if I see a romantic partnership that looks really juicy and fun and amazing, then that's in my consciousness, and that is lending the knowing that that's something that I believe in.
You wouldn't even see it.
If I didn't believe
No, you would see that same people look like they're in a juicy relationship and they just codependent. See, you wouldn't even look at it as they were in a juicy, loving, romantic relationship. You see what I mean? Because the Course teaches that everything is neutral, but we don't have neutral thoughts. So we're going to have an interpretation of what we think of as a romantic, juicy relationship. So yeah, the fact that you saw it means it's in your consciousness.
And then the same thing with seeing a romantic partnership that looks terrible and awful, and then that's giving me a feedback loop of what it is that I believe.
And your past experiences.
Am I right?
Because all of us probably would be, if we would be honest, we would probably admit that we've had relationships that were less than ecstatic. Okay, all of us have. In other words, we all been with somebody that just didn't act right. Let's keep it simple. I got a script, you're not doing it. That's what I call negative. See, negative isn't really this. Most people's idea of negative is that it just didn't go the way I wanted it to. So that doesn't really make something negative just because it didn't go the way you wanted it to. But then we'll call it negative. Isn't that funny? It's only negative because I didn't like what happened. As if it's inherently negative. It's not. It's not. The thing that makes you the most miserable could be the thing that makes somebody else ecstatic. You are brokenhearted because your relationship broke up and your partner left, and there are other people like going, "What took you so long? I'm so glad you're gone." And they skip it down the street. The exact same thing. Two totally different perceptions. So loss and negativity don't really exist except in the interpretation that you're giving this situation. Chris.
So over here where it says, perceptions are built upon the basis of experience, and experience leads to belief. So, like I've been reading, and I've heard, and I've even told myself for like the umpteenth time that, you know, I create my own experience. And so the other day I was at work. Yeah, I think it was at work. And it like hit me. It like really hit me. Wow, I am creating my experience. And it was something that was beyond the intellect. It's like at that moment in time I saw the glimpse of, wow, I am creating this. And so does that go back to what you were saying that for those, blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see. Because even though I don't fully believe it yet, but like I see how like I've kept telling myself this over and over.
Yes,
and
yes,
starting to see
yes, exactly.
glimpses of
Mhm,
like really,
Yeah.
real glimpses.
Yeah, blessed are you who haven't seen and still believe. I still believe it's possible for me to have it even though I have. You know, that's what we do all the time. If you, let's say you want to be a doctor, well then you are what? You're not one yet, but you're still believing you can be. So that's not really an unusual statement. We're doing it all the time. We're always believing in stuff that we don't see to keep us motivated to move toward it. It's not physically happened yet, but I believe it can,
Sure.
so I move toward it. So that's we are totally capable of loyalty, and we're totally capable of faith. How do you know? Because we have been loyal and faithful to ways of thinking that don't serve us at all.
Yeah.
right.
And we still hang on to it even though it doesn't serve us at all. So don't say we don't have the capacity to be loyal to something. People are loyal to ways of thinking and patterns that hurt them all the time, and they won't give them up because they're loyal to it. So you do have the capacity to be loyal. You do have the capacity to really stick with something no matter what. Your loyalty is just misplaced. You loyal to the things that hurt you. The trip,
Yeah.
you know, right? Okay. Online, if anybody got a question, okay.
No specific questions, but we had a couple of people really resonating with the thought of being able to transcend fear by just looking at it, feeling it, and then going beyond it, not denying it. So a lot of people really resonated with that, actually looking at it.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie, to get to the point that you don't pretend you don't feel the way you feel because you're trying to be spiritual and positive. You know, I always tell people when I'm doing clarity sessions, please don't try to be spiritual. Please, because we won't get anywhere, because you'll be too busy trying to second guess what you say to make sure it sounds right, and you don't want to tell me that you hit them upside the head with a skillet last night. You're going to say something like, my ego came up last week when I was trying to see things differently. I need to say you hit them upside the head with a skillet. That means then we can work from there.
Are we supposed to, if we have a thought that we're questioning, is accept it, acknowledge it, receive it, and let it go, and then recreate it?
If that one, you won't recreate it if you let yourself feel it
No, I
and
mean,
acknowledge
recreate
it.
a new
Yeah, choose for something else.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have
Yeah.
to acknowledge how you're feeling.
Right, and that's what I said. That the first thing you do is you're not in denial about it, and you acknowledge it, and you say, "This is how I feel." And if when you really begin to wake up, you say it's something that involves somebody else. You'll say, "I hope that I'm wrong about this, and this is what's bothering me right now. This is what I saw." Because when you say you hope you're wrong, you go a long ways toward cutting down that person's defensiveness.
That's right.
But when you just come up, you, then you've already, a wall is up immediately. As soon as you go, you. As a matter of fact, let me give you a tip. If there's something you want to discuss with somebody, use you as little as possible, and I as much as you possibly can. And it'll go a long way in straightening things out. But the minute you go with you just doing so and so and so and so and so, they got the wall. I hope I'm wrong about this, but this is what I'm feeling.
So Marianne asks, how do we hold these new insights? Is it just because I don't want to?
How do we do what?
Hold these new insights? Is it just because I don't want to that she's not holding them?
She's not repeating it to herself and applying it to the situations as they arrive. It's more like I heard it in the class, I'm thinking about it, and now on to the next thing. That's what we do a lot of times. We come to classes like this, we listen to stuff, and we go, that sounds really, really interesting. And then we go out the door, and then we apply our old, fixed, stabilized perception to the next thing that comes up. So nothing's going to happen until you, an action is a thought in physical motion outwardly perceived. And action is a thought in physical motion outwardly perceived. So until I take my thoughts and put them in physical motion outwardly perceived, I'm not going to do what? I'm not going to give myself new experiences that stabilize my perception in a new direction. So we can listen to this stuff all day long, and we can analyze this stuff all day long, but it's not going to produce any change in your life until you take the situations that the lab is presenting you with, and even if you don't believe it, say the truth about it. Because that's why it told us you don't have to believe it. So that you just go ahead and say it whether you believe it or not. Then the other thing that Course in Miracles says is no matter what your reaction is to it, use it. So just because you don't like what I'm saying doesn't mean you shouldn't use it.
That's right.
Nobody's promising you you're going to like everything that you hear that's opposite to what you believe. As a matter of fact, it's much more understandable that you wouldn't. So I can't teach you based on you liking everything I say, because that pretty much means I'm not saying anything different to you. You see, so when people come into a teaching, learning situation like this, what the ego mind has a tendency to do is only hear the parts they already agree with, and then drop off everything else and then walk out the door with essentially the same attitude you had when you walked in, instead of paying particular attention to what I said that you felt resistance to. Because, and more than likely, the thing I say that you go unconscious on or you feel resistance to is something new. That's the challenge that we're having right now in social media and everything. I don't know if you know it or not, but after a while, the algorithms in Facebook figure out what you like, and they only send you articles and news based on what you already think. So you got a bunch of people now that are being compartmentalized, only hearing what they already believe, and we're not really hearing other points of view anymore.
Right.
And because I went, my news feed is just nothing but positive, loving, spiritual things. I said, boy, the world is really changing. Then I heard about the algorithm. I said, that's just because that's what I focus on. So I'm drawing all of the people on the internet who talk the same way, which is, so that's true of the racists, and that's true of the people that hate people, and that's true, everybody's the people who only like sports. Everybody. So you got to realize right now, you kind of living in a box.
Totally.
We're really, what we are seeing is much more controlled than we remotely realize now. But we're the ones doing it. That's what's so deep about it. You're the one that's doing it. So if I am going to program myself, I want to program myself in a loving way.
Yes, me too.
That's what I want to do. Okay, so let's go to the next paragraph. Would you join in the resurrection of the crucifixion? Are you going to join in waking up in love or continuing to crucify yourself? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? Do I want to condemn you or do I want to free you? Because condemnation is the opposite of freeing. Yeah. If I'm in a relationship and I'm not freeing my partner, I'm condemning them. So, would you transcend your prison? Do you want to go beyond the way you think that limits you and ascend to love, which is your creator? See, those are great questions. So, do you want to resurrect, or do you want to keep on crucifying yourself? Yes or no?
Resurrect.
Okay. Do you want to keep condemning people, or do you want to start freeing people?
Freeing people.
Do you want to transcend the limitations that you're putting on yourself and ascend to love that created you?
Yes.
Right. See, why is it cool for you to respond? Because that's an action. You took the thought, you put it in physical motion, it was outwardly perceived. That's why when you have a call and response, it's a very powerful thing to do in terms of reprogramming yourself. The more you get fit, because think about it, all the things you really like to do, you get physically active to do it. That's how you can tell. I can always tell what a person values. They value what they do. You tell me what you do the most, and I'll tell you what you value the most. So if you hike all day long, if you go to movies all day long, whatever you do the most is what you value the most. Whatever you do the most is what you value the most. Whatever you do, whoever you do the most.
That's true.
That's who you value the most. Can I get real with you? Okay. So the Course in Miracles says there are no private thoughts. All you have to do is observe anybody you're around, and then you'll know everything they're about if you observe it. Just watch them. That's what they do is that's what they're about. They can tell you anything, but what they do, you can tell me you're a Course in Miracles student, but if you never study it, never read it, and don't consistently apply it, you're kidding yourself. You're not a true student of it. Because you'd be doing that as much as you would do the other things you actually physically do. So the Course in Miracles teaches that pain comes from deceiving yourself. That when you deceive yourself, that's how you know that you're hurt. You're hurting because you're deceiving yourself. Whatever area of your life that you're hurting in, that's the area that you're fooling yourself in the most. And the area of your life that you feel the most inspired and joyful, that's the area you're seeing the most correctly. And that's who you're seeing the most correctly. It's not rocket science. The truth is simple, but it gets as complicated as you need it to be to listen to it. So it'll get complicated for you if you want to stall around a while. Because that just gives you justification for not doing it. It's too hard. I don't understand it. It don't make sense. So I got to study this a whole lot. Okay? I'm not ready to do it yet. Yeah. God, I see the simplicity of it. All right, he already said, if I'm attracted to somebody and my pattern is that the people I'm attracted to always disappoint me, then the next time I have an attraction, common sense would say I need to vet them a lot closer. Why? Because I know my pattern. Oh, I think I should have more love in my life. Why don't I have it? Oh, that means that I don't believe in it yet. So I need to start focusing on the love I don't see. Very simple. How? Through repetition and focus. Mm-hmm. It's not complicated. It's only complicated if you're not ready to be free yet. Right. We're like prisoners somebody has been pardoned in a prison with the cell door open, the prison empty, and the courtyard overgrown with weeds, waiting for somebody to let us out.
Well,
Why aren't you being rescued? Because you're not in prison. Except in your own mind. So you have to be freed in your mind. Like Parliament Funkadelic used to say, free your mind and your ass will follow.
So then recognizing how terrified I feel of freeing myself and how terrifying genuine connection and joining is going to be like a big part of unlocking the already unlocked gate.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The more you admit it, the less you have to meet it. The more you admit it, the less you have to meet it. The more you admit it, the less you have to meet it. The more you will acknowledge it's in your consciousness, the less you'll have to meet it in your world.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I admit I have unloving thoughts. I don't have to meet the unloving people that represent that because I admit I have them and I admit I want to change them. Yeah. But if I'm walking around going, I love everybody, 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 then you're going to keep meeting people that don't love you. Because you got some thoughts that aren't loving and you're in denial about them. So your situation, your world has to show you that you're in denial about some thoughts that you have. And then you become the nice person that's always going through something. The nice person that's always having bad things happen. Okay? You're the nice person that's mad as hell.
Yeah.
But you're pretending that you don't beneath a great big smile. That's what's happening.
So you
Okay?
said the more we admit it in our conscious thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and something I forgot the next part.
The more you admit it, there's no need for you to meet it.
Okay.
If I admit it, then there's no need for the universe to show me I have that quality.
Yeah.
But most people, they believe that being in denial is what you should do. You should pretend that you like somebody that you don't. You should pretend you're feeling good when you don't. You should pretend you're happy and you love everybody when you know you don't. That's where people take the idea of positive thinking. There's nothing wrong with being positive, but it don't mean be positively in denial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris.
So, what you said, like one of the things that I readily admit, one of my biggest fears is being alone. And as of late, it seems like I'm alone. So, why is that thing?
That's because you haven't changed your mind yet. Because you have not done the actions that's being required, which means you could go to a movie. You wouldn't be by yourself. You could pick up the phone. You wouldn't be by yourself. You could reach out. There's no excuse for being by yourself, especially if you got a car. And you could be among 1 million people and still feel alone. Because you're still telling yourself you're by yourself. What most people are saying when they feel alone, they're really saying, I haven't found the special one. That's all they're really saying. We're surrounded by people right now. Why are we not jumping up and down in enthusiasm? Because I don't see anybody that could be the special one. Yeah, I'm looking for the special one. Everywhere I go, I'm looking for the special one. I'm not interested. You're not meeting my special criteria. Yeah. But if you looked across the room and somebody went, and you felt the same way, all of a sudden you wouldn't be lonely no more. It's the truth. I mean, I wish I could pretend we were complicated. I know it was mean a lot to us to think we were so deep and complicated. We aren't. We're ridiculous. But we cute. We got most of us got great fashion sense. We cute as we can be. Just crazy as hell, but cute. Cute. Really cute though.
Crazy cute.
Yeah, crazy cute. Go on a date, don't say nothing, you'll be all right. Because most people are more interested in your body than your mind anyway. When they're asleep, they're more interested in your body than your mind anyway. If they're asleep, they're more interested in the outer than the inner anyway. People have complimented me and said I was the best conversations in the world when they did all the talking and I just listened. And they go, I really enjoyed being with you. You said, you didn't ask me one thing about my life.
Right.
Nothing that's going on with me. It was all about what was happening with you. But that makes me the good conversationalist. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, because most people don't have people who listen to them. So the mere fact that you were sitting there listening put you way up. So when you meet somebody, don't try to be interesting. Try to be interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm not with you to impress you. I'm interested in you. Try it. It's not complicated. Remember, people who are conscious, they're watching you. They're not going to attack you, but if they see you're unconscious and you don't really share and you're all about yourself and you sitting up there and you condemning the last relationship that you had and you talk about what you were upset about and you're afraid, that's all they need to know that they don't want to get into a more intimate involvement with you. But you don't know that. But you just revealed that you would be the drama. That you'd be needy, and you would be judging, and you would be looking for them. Because they see you still mad at your last partner. And so they know you got a whole lot of baggage that you're expecting them to make up for. See, my next relationship is supposed to repair the wounded self-esteem that I got from the last one that didn't work out. See, my last one didn't work out. That wounded my self-esteem. Now I have you. You're going to restore my wounded self-esteem by how good you treat me. So I'm really dealing with you based on somebody who's not there. So I'm really in a relationship with somebody that's not there. Because I'm thinking more about the person I used to be with than I'm thinking about you. And I'm trying to make sure you don't do what that person did. So I'm not in a relationship with you. I'm in a relationship with the person that's not there.
Yeah.
Because I can't make up to you what somebody that's not me did. Even if I look like I'm saying the same things to you that they said, I'm not them. So you have to trust me. And that's what people are afraid of, is trust. So I got to trust. But I wouldn't have a problem trusting if I had faith in myself. If I loved myself and I felt whole and complete, it wouldn't matter to me whether or not you're trustworthy. Because my happiness wouldn't depend on you. So even if you weren't, I'd still be okay. So I can afford to go ahead and give you the benefit of the doubt because my happiness isn't based on you anyway. But if I'm insecure, then I'm going to need you to prove to me that I can trust. So a person that doesn't trust, it just means they're not trustworthy. Okay, so just think about that. The next time you don't trust and you're all about not trusting, that's you that's not trustworthy, not the other person. Because you're the one that's much likely to bail. You're the one that's much likely to not stick around. Why? Because you don't trust nobody. So if I'm around somebody and they don't trust anybody, then I know that they're probably going to also not trust me and separate. I can count on why they don't trust anybody. Because most people don't know that love is trust. Trust is love. You can't love me and don't trust me. You can't love me and don't trust me. You can't love me and don't trust me. So when you call love trust, you get a real reality check really quick. If you don't trust nobody, you're not loving nobody. So don't say I love everybody and I'm suspicious of everybody. I love everybody. I'm suspicious of everybody. No, that's not love. That's fear. You fear everybody. So if you fear everybody and your experience is built up on the basis of your beliefs and your beliefs are based on fear, your fearful perceptions will stabilize and that's what your world will look like, is something that's frightening to you. But that's not the truth about the world. That's just the truth about your experiences that you've given yourselves through your beliefs. So the world that you want to live in exists right now, today, and you could live in it if you were willing to want to be happy more than you would want to be right. So the last part of that paragraph says, these questions are all the same and are answered together. There's been much confusion about what perception means. There's a lot of confusion about what perception means because the word perception is used for both awareness is perception and what? The interpretation of awareness is perception. So you can't be aware without interpretation. There's no such thing as you saying you're aware of me without interpreting me. Anything that you are aware of is your interpretation. Whatever you are aware of, it's your interpretation. So whatever you are aware of right now is just your interpretation. No matter what you tell me about, it's just your interpretation. No matter what you say is true, it's just like somebody wrote me the other day and they said, well, the Course in Miracles is just something that you're supposed to study by yourself and it's just personal to you. I guess at some point what they were trying to say was, that you don't teach the Course to a group of people. It's just a personal thing. And which the first thing came to my mind was that that was true, there wouldn't be any books. That's the pretty obvious truth. If it was meant to only be for one person, there wouldn't even be out here. The other thing was I could respect that was just his interpretation. And I love that now because it keeps me from getting hooked by other people's opinions. Opinions, just like butts, everybody got one. So it's like, okay, that's your opinion, and it's okay. And you have the right to have that opinion. You have the right to, but that doesn't mean I have to change one single thing about the way that I'm seeing things that work for me. But he needed me to go into agreement, or maybe he needed me to do what I did differently because he had come to the conclusion that the Course should just be something for you by yourself. So I'm supposed to change my life and the way that I do things that work for me for a total stranger in their opinion. Do you see how that happens every day and how often we buy into it to the point that we'll go, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing what gives me fulfillment, happiness, and joy and love in my life that's been working. Because a total stranger said that they believe that I should do it differently. Yeah, whatever's working, do more of it, and whatever's not working, stop.
Right.
That's what you do. Just too deep. That's just much too deep. So he says, what you perceive is what? Your interpretation. So if I was going to see a person, I could walk up and say, my interpretation of you right now is it looks like you don't like me. My interpretation of you right now, it looks like you really like me. My interpretation of you right now is you're a really cool person. My interpretation of you right now is I need to be a little delirious. If you were to start prefacing things with my interpretation, my perception, this is the way I'm choosing to see it, now you have accurate perception. Now you're seeing things correctly. So, would you acknowledge yourself for hearing this much Holy Spirit is letting that much in? Yes. I'm going to do a quick little recap so we can take this into today. And so you can start to try to apply it. We're going to do the financial expression of appreciation for those who'd like to do that. I'm a full-time teacher of the course, and I appreciate if you see value in what I do, and you also want to support Unity Temple, which is our place of meeting. I really would appreciate that. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to earlpurdy.com. And also, I think CJ is putting a link that you can click on right there in the comments that'll take you directly to where you can make a financial expression of appreciation if you want to. PayPal.me/Earl Purdy is the link. And that way you can do that. I'm also available for one-on-one sessions. The sessions are called clarity sessions. In those sessions, I use all of the principles of the course, and I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology. Astrology and numerology was what I used to wake up in the first place. And because the Course in Miracles teaches that everything you've learned, whatever your talents are, the Holy Spirit, the higher power can use those things to wake you up and for your healing. I'll say that again. Whatever you have learned, whatever your talents are, whatever you've made, can be used by Spirit for your awakening and for love. So just because you get into your spiritual awakening process doesn't mean you have to overthrow and throw everything away that you've learned to say, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not going to do law anymore because now I'm on my spiritual path. You know, you can if you choose to, but that's just a choice that you're making, especially if there's no other way you're earning money. And you just set yourself up for fear. Now you're going to be studying and worrying about how you're going to pay your bills, which means you won't be able to study. It'd be much easier. This is my gift. This is my talent. This is what's paying. I'm allowing Spirit to pay the bills through. And I want Spirit to use what I'm doing to wake me up and to heal other people too. And if I want to do something different, I can be working on that in the meantime. So I can have a smooth transition from one to the other without terrifying myself in the meantime. But I've seen that so many times in the 40 years I've been teaching where people go, I'm waking up now, I don't like what I'm doing, I'm going to throw all of that away, and then their ego keeps them in terror about how they're going to meet their needs, which is exactly what it does over and over and over again. Because they have the courage of a satisfied stomach. What does that mean? Usually when I want to quit the job that I'm on, I got the job. So the job is paying my bills. And that's why I can go, I'm ready to quit the job because I have the daring of a satisfied stomach. Everything is being paid for, everything's still taken care of. That's the daring of a satisfied stomach.
That's right.
Which is totally different from I'm out there and I don't have that source of income anymore. That's a whole nother level. So don't let the daring of the satisfied stomach fool you. You're in something, you are generating income, you don't like it, so you're just going to quit it and drop it, and you're going to say, well, I know Spirit's going to take care of me, but you haven't done a workbook lesson in 10 months. So the truth is you really have not really worked on your consciousness enough to be sustained to allow yourself to be sustained by the love of God. So, like I said, don't deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Because your old self is going to try to trick you when you say, I've had enough pain and I'm ready to have love and joy. And that old self is going to dig itself in and say, self, I'm going to try to do some self-sabotage now. I'm going to try to get you to do something really stupid that's going to cause you a lot of fear. Oh, things are just beginning to work. I'm just beginning to let things happen for me. Oh, I just saw them. And now I'm in a relationship and it's taking up every second of my time, and I'm no longer invested in the thing that I was invested in. So watch the distractions that your own ego is going to try to come up with when you start to grow. And one of the easiest distractions that it come up with is a special love relationship. The Course in Miracles says that's its chief way of distracting you, is to get you to fall in love. And then all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden it's all about that. And then it becomes all about that person and their wants and their needs and trying to work it out. Or unless you join with somebody who shares your purpose, shares your goal, and you want to use your relationship as a way to self-realization and awakening. Now that person is saving you time. But if it's about now I'm with you and I got to convince you it's okay for my spiritual path and I hope you like it and you understand and you're getting upset because I want to go to the class and you want me to go to the park, then it's a distraction. So your mind just came up with a distraction. Or I'm not feeling valuable and I'm not feeling validated and I don't feel loved, so I need somebody to validate me. So it's all about trying to find somebody because I can't stand being by myself because then I have to listen to my own thoughts. And I need somebody to distract me from my thoughts. Because if I'm by myself, I'm going to hear what I think. That's why a lot of people want relationships. They can't stand being alone. They can't be by themselves. I know people that have to be busy every single waking moment of the day. It's called Colorado. That's their code name. I'm a Colorado.
20-mile rides.
Yeah. So I want you to know that it's easier than you think. You have more support than you can imagine. You can change your entire experience. You can have support. I can work with you and show you ways to look at your experience differently. You were born with a purpose. You were born with a spiritual task that you came here to accomplish. That's what higher spiritual astrology and numerology is about. It's about what was the blueprint of the intentions of your soul in entering this life. You weren't just dropped here because two people had good or not so good sex one night, and now you are here, and you got to try to figure out everything on your own. God isn't that unloving. The universe isn't that uncaring. You have a lot of guidance that our culture and our programming tells us not to pay any attention to right brain, intuitive, psychic information. It tells us everything is left brain. If it's not reason, logic, and just what I can see, it doesn't exist. Where it should be a balance of the two. That's what it should be. So I'm so thankful every day that I got into woo-woo weird stuff.
Amen.
Because the woo-woo weird stuff is giving me a more peaceful life than 90% of the people that I know. You can get information a lot faster. You can be helped in ways you never dreamed of if you would rather be happy than be right. I'm telling you, that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. So, one last thing. Those of you online, please share. Please share the video. If you go to my Facebook page, earlpurdy.com, you don't have to be a Facebook member. You follow it, then you get notified when I'm going live. And so you can watch the classes at facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. I do 3 Facebook Live classes a week. Sunday, 1 to 2, Mountain Standard Time. Tuesday, I do the Way of Mastery, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And on Thursday, I do what I call Hardcore Course in Miracles. That's primarily geared to people who already love the course. And they already know it, that they love the course. And they're studying it. And so I can go deeper because they already studying it too. So anybody's welcome to watch it, but it may be a challenge for you. Because I'm straight up. It's like straight up course. And I love it. I love it. I take no prisoners on Thursday. So are you willing to tell yourself something completely different now?
Yes.
Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. I love you. Thank you for coming. I'll see you next time. Let's give it up. Don't forget, you will see what you do believe. So now the question is, what do you want to see? And hugs are available. And those who came today for the first time, thank you for coming.
And I have an announcement.
Okay. CJ has an announcement.